We back up in this, man, fresh off of a Giannis Antetokounmpo signing. I hope I got his last name right. God, that's a long last name. What's also long is my man's bank account right now.
Yep.
5 years, $228 million. It's the most expensive contract the NBA has ever doled out. Good God, my man hit the bank account. From poverty in Greece to the man in Milwaukee. Sterlz, what you thinking about Giannis?
I hope they get him some help. He better back this up. That's another thing. Like, cause you can't really trade this now. Like, if he is not gonna get you the championship, and you're not giving him more than this, like.
That's interesting. So, okay, even though Giannis, a two-time MVP, back-to-back in the most recent 2 years, probably undisputably the most valuable player in the league, given his age. Just given his age. If we're talking about the most talented right now, obviously LeBron. Or maybe even AD. AD's probably in the conversation for this too. But we would definitely, I don't think there would be a debate that Giannis is probably top 3 most valuable contracts in the league. And if he is now untradeable, given that he got the supermax, the question I have for you is the supermax just a generally bad idea to give to a player no matter what? Because if Giannis is too expensive now, then I guess what player would be considered good enough? Would it just be LeBron?
No, I'm not saying that. I need to see them go forward in the playoffs. Like, a second round loss to the Heat in 5 games, I can't. Like, you can't do that.
You got to make it to the finals. You have to make it to the finals.
Or you got to at least be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, they wouldn't have they did that yet?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly. I need to see, like, you got to get a jump shot.
Could do that.
He got to develop that jump shot.
I think even no jump shot, they could even maybe get into the Eastern Conference Finals over the next 5 years, because I have no idea what the next 3.
So you think Drew Holiday is enough? Because they messed up that Bogdanovich, and low key, the Hawks could be nice. I didn't think about this till just now.
I was waiting to get to them.
The Hawks could be kind of nice. They young. They got a lot of young pieces that are gonna be hungry to prove themselves. And then they already got Trae Young, who he can put up 40 on any given night. And now they got Bogdanovich, who he can give you like 20 to 30 some nights.
Did that trade go through?
No, that's the thing. So you know how he's supposed to go to Milwaukee.
He was supposed to go to Milwaukee.
Like, he didn't sign his thing.
Right.
So then the Hawks offer him, and then the Kings didn't match.
Right. So he's on the Hawks now?
Yeah, because he went for the money. Like, he wasn't like, I'm not going to do this sign and trade shit. Like,
yeah. Dude, the Hawks is nice now, man. Like you said from before. Listen, I was a hater, but now I'm a believer. Believe it or not, I'm on the idea that they could make the playoffs.
They would be
because
like
their offseason was nice. The people that they signed, they got Danilo Gallinari, they got Bogdanovich, and then they got a couple other signings too that I'm completely blanking on. That I was like, damn, they got them. Like, I believe they overpaid for most of these people, but given that they're short-term contracts and everybody else on your team is young, like, this is the time you want to get your young players, some veterans around them to actually go make a legitimate playoff push. And I totally think that the Atlanta Hawks are in the position to do that.
It's gonna be an interesting season. The 76ers been making a lot of moves too.
Oh yes. The 76ers, man. I'm very excited that they got Daryl Morey. I know that's really weird to say because it's like, who pays attention to GMs, but
they got Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers.
Yeah, that's the best balance. I think, because you're getting Doc Rivers the coach. You're not getting Clippers Doc Rivers GM coach. You're getting Doc Rivers just the coach. And then with Daryl Morey, you're getting a guy who everybody wanted Sam Hinkie to be and what Sam Hinkie always wanted to be but never got the opportunity to finish. Because if you think about it, like, you know, Sammy Hinkie died for Philadelphia's sins and now had accrued a whole decade's worth of draft picks and resources and cap space for the one crowning moment that we were going to be able to collect all these free agents and capitalize on this generational young drafted talent and really make this dominant push. But things fell apart in the last 2 years because there was an ownership change, there was a GM change. People tend to forget about the whole Colangelo situation that happened. There had never been real outright leadership at the top. Recently, you know, Jimmy Butler was on a JJ Redick podcast, and both of those players who were former 76ers at the time totally acknowledged that there was just like no leadership at all. We had no idea if Brett was the main voice of leadership, or if the GM was, or if the president was, or even if the ownership was. There was just a lot of confusion in those aspects, and because of that, they ended up wasting a lot of the resources that Sam Hinkie tried to get them in the past, right? They just wasted so many draft picks. You look at Jahlil Okafor, drafted, you know, way too high. That one hurts. You know what I mean?
He was good though. He was a good college player, but it didn't equate to the NBA. Like, especially the NBA had moved on from centers like that.
Right.
Like, if it was the old NBA, he would have been right where like he needed to be.
Jahlil Okafor would have been a perennial all-star had he just been drafted in like 1990 something or the 2000s. Like, he would have been probably one of the best 10 players of the 2000s had he came out. Had he played in the 2000s, he would have probably been top 10 centers. But it's 2020. You know what I mean? The game, unfortunately, has changed completely in terms of spacing, you know, lack of post-ups.
You don't really need 7-footers that much anymore.
They have to be rim rollers, really, and that's never been Jahlil Okafor's type of gameplay. Like, he's not a JaVale McGee who's going to just be a rim runner, and that's about it. He has a lot more skill and versatility to his game, but it definitely is a lot more slow-paced, half-court sets, and it's a lot of shooting, too, which fucks up the way you want to get other players buckets on an NBA team. But
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, revolutionary.
Yes. And the Hawks are trying to be a young Warriors, though. To go back to the Hawks, they are building that pieces. Model. I see it. They really pieces. Do. Because they got shooters. They got shooters to space it, and I like their bigs. Like,
John Collins.
We've been big fans of John Collins, especially you, Sterlz. I know you have been on.
I saw him in Wake Forest. He used to go in, bro. He was nice. Man.
Yeah, that's it. The team is nice, man. I'm really fucking with what they did, bro.
If Cam Reddish ever like just gets to like 70% of his potential, this man could be cold. Like,
bro, it's not happening.
Like, he has everything. He can shoot. He's smooth. Yes. He's so smooth to get to the rim when he's in the zone. And he could play. He could be a lockdown defender too. Like, he's so long, but I don't know. He just. His head, I don't know if he's just like all in for basketball. It's like, I don't know if he like actually really wants to be out there. I think he was one of those kids who like, his parents saw the talent and it was just like, this is what you gonna do. And he made it because he was like that talented, but I don't know if that like his heart's in it.
Yeah. Oh man, I sometimes think about that all the time when I see kids like Cam Reddish or just like really amazing high school phenoms end up not becoming what we thought they were going to be in the NBA. And like, the first thing I always think of is like, dang, I wonder if the parents just like negatively push their kids too hard, and now like, you know, this amazing talented individual doesn't have the passion for the game that he naturally should. And like, there's that opportunity cost where in any career, NBA aside, where if you're not working the job that fulfills you, like, even if you're getting paid a certain amount of stuff, like, you know, money is only options. So like, what you choose to apply it gives you happiness. That's my belief. And so if you're put into a career where you're spending so much time and money making money doing something that you don't care about, I mean, that's really hurtful personally. And then also just like, yeah, man, parental pressure is a real thing that can just like stomp, you know, people's dreams, like children's dreams. And then like, you know, what if Cam Reddish wanted to just be a painter and we're out here just fucking with this man being like, yo, but what about your 3-point shot? Like, and you know, who knows? But outside of Cam Reddish, bro, the rest of this team seems like they're about to be trying to get to the playoffs, and I'm fucking with that. And who knows? Cam Reddish probably is too, bro. I mean, he get extra salary. Yeah,
he hasn't been bad. I'm just saying, he literally could be like just as good as Jason Tatum, if not better. That's how I'm saying. That's how good. That's how much talent he has. That's
in high school. He was like that nice. He would, because I remember that.
Cold. Bro.
Yes, I remember when they was coming up.
He had moments at Duke too, but that's the thing. He was with R.J. Barrett and Zion.
Yeah.
And R.J. Barrett was already kind of like a finished product. Like,
yeah.
Like once he got to the NBA, you knew he wasn't really going to do too much more. Like, but what he's good at. Like, he can do that on anybody. Like. He can get to the rim, like he has his like step backs, like he has his moves. Like he's gonna be a decent NBA player. Like he's gonna last in the NBA a long time because he like just knows what he's doing and he's good at what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But and then Zion, it was Zion, so you had to get the touches. So then Cam was the third man, so like he only got the shine sometimes.
Yeah, but I will say this, though, about Cam. If there's anybody in the NBA who's going to get the most out of Cam, it's going to be Rajon Rondo. Like, Rajon Rondo is not going to take no half-assing in practice, and that man is on his team. And that alone made me a believer. Just be like, oh, Rajon Rondo left the Lakers for this? Oh, he's up to something.
Well, he took the money, too. They offered him a nice little
package. Yes. It was like $9 million or something like that.
I thought it was $215.
2
years, $15 million.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. You're right. It is that.
If I'm Rajon Rondo, it's like this is like my last big contract. I like the Lakers.
Rings.
The Lakers got everybody paid. Like you could say that about like what I don't know what Rob Pelinka was telling these players, but he got everybody to buy in.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this. We'll save that thought. Save that thought, because we're going to come back. We'll end the show on Laker talk. And I want to get to Rob and give Rob his roses once we get there, but we'll say that. I know, it's tempted, but we'll save it, man. I just know that at the same time, Rondo has gotten money. The man's been paid, but the man also just came off of a championship, and we're talking about one of the most competitive guys in the league. So
he's 36 though. Like he don't got too much. Like this is the last one where it's like you're not really give it. Like he's not Vince Carter. He's not going to be able to play until he's 40. I don't think.
Absolutely, but I don't think that's what he's trying to go for, to like be the man in Atlanta and show off. But what I think he's going to be is like kind of like a Chris Paul type of role player, and also ingratiate himself into the organization of the Atlanta Hawks. Because like I will say this, there's going to be so many opportunities for Rajon Rondo post his playing career in the NBA, whether it's as a coach, an assistant coach, a GM, working in a front office, even an analyst. He is one of the sharpest minds in the league, and I'm pretty sure the Hawks, and this is just a theory of mine, but I'm pretty sure the Hawks have approached him with trying to, be a part of the organization even after his playing career is done, because I think that Rajon Rondo is probably going to have such an impact on trying to orchestrate how a lot of these pieces are going to work together, because he's just a mastermind. He's a mastermind at the way he sees the floor, the way he sees the game, and how he can get other players to interact with each other. And I'm pretty sure that's an invaluable asset for a roster that's trying to learn how to win, and an organization that's trying to learn how to win. So I think Rondo's going to be, integral into building that culture, and I'm pretty sure it'll yield dividends. It'll yield dividends for him even after he's done playing with his team at this time. But even outside of that, there's other great veterans on here to get back to the free agency signings that I wanted to talk about, but completely blanked on. We have Rondo, we have Chris Dunn, Danilo Gallinari, Clint Capella that they got at the end of the last season, but I feel like, Clint Capella actually getting a full season or so under his belt, he'll probably come back and be a lot better. And then, obviously, the young core that they had there with Trae Young and John Collins, that's going to be nice. And Kevin Huerter. I never knew how to pronounce this dude's name, but like, Huerter?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know how to say that. I know.
He nice though.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah. I've seen potential from him as well. So I mean, dude, they got a shot. They got a shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah,
man.
they got a nice little squad. I mean, like you said, the East this week. What is it like? It's gonna be like Milwaukee 76ers,
Nets,
Celtics.
Should we talk about the Nets? I've been very excited to talk about the Nets. I saw their preseason games. Them boys look like they back. 7-Eleven, K and Kai. I mean, they was cooking, bro.
We'll see.
They were cooking in the preseason, man.
After all the shit that Kyrie's been doing, this man he was my second favorite player in the NBA. This man went to Duke, which, if you watch the show, you know that's my favorite college team. We only lost one game with him that happened to be an attorney, unfortunately, but like, it was the only game he lost when he was there. Like, I saw how nice this man was, like, just from the beginning. But then after all these antics recently, I just like, you gotta shut up and play at some point. Like, I'm not one of those people who like, shut up, athletes don't talk and play. But you just doing too much at this point. Like, you just wilding out, like.
Yeah.
So like, you gotta show me something. Like, this season, like, you can't. You left. You walked away from LeBron. Like, you had a great situation. Like, they could have won some more rings if he would have stayed. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But you decided.
It should have been them versus the Raptors. It should have been them instead of Kawhi and the Raptors. Like that one year, it should have been them. They could have. In my beliefs, the Cavs would have won the championship.
Well, even that next year when LeBron had to go up against the Warriors without him, he just had Kevin Love. Like, they could have had a better chance. Like, I'm not saying they would have won because they had KD then, but they would have had a better chance.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I'm such a big believer in Kyrie's game, and he could have easily proven to the world had he just waited it out and rocked with Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, and then just really influenced the GM to draft the guys that he wanted to, which would have been very easy for him to do. I think
he had the Celtics though, and he did not work out with that Celtics team, and that Celtics team was kind of cold.
Yeah. That's kind of on you. The talent was there with that Celtics team. And that's going to be one of the biggest what ifs we're going to look back at in like a decade from now. We're going to look back at that 2018 or 2019 Celtics team and just look at on paper and just be like,
hold up. You still got to think about last year's Brooklyn team. They still weren't the greatest, but even without KD, they still got Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris.
Yes.
Who's the center with the big ass afro? Jared Allen.
Oh, Jared Allen.
Like, he's nice, like a nice.
And DeAndre got some hops. DeAndre is kind of looking springy for a little bit, and if you play him 10 to 15 minutes a game, every other game, I mean, he did that. He's going to be very, very effective. You know what I mean? Like, DeAndre is either going to be the second or third man off of the rotation, sometimes even the fourth. And I think there's going to be a lot of times you can rest him. If you look at their bigs, they're great. All of their bigs are good. They got Karis, KD, DeAndre, and then also Jared Allen. And I think they've been saying a lot, like Steve Nash and KD have all been publicly talking about K playing the 5. And I think that is going to change a lot of the lineup too. I think the only place that they're hurting at really is their wings. Like, but if you can keep Spencer and Kyrie and they can figure that out, that to me is the big storyline heading into this season.
Well, Kyrie should definitely play too if Spencer's on the court. Kyrie should play too.
Precisely. They're not doing that right now. I hope they adjust that coming into the season, but that's the big storyline for me. Is like their success is going to be predicated based off of, first of all, Kyrie buying into the system, buying into a system, just getting Kyrie to buy in general. And then the second part is just seeing how Kyrie and then Spencer Dinwiddie coexist, because this is going to be crazy to say, but Spencer Dinwiddie in a lot of ways is Kyrie-esque. And let me explain, because it happens, there's more similarities than just on the court. So, first of all, Spencer Dinwiddie is a very financially woke individual. The man has started his own shoe company and attempted to negotiate a contract with the NBA such that he could convert the salary that he was getting paid into cryptocurrency that he could directly let a marketplace buy. I think he was trying to convert it either directly on the blockchain or to Bitcoin and then allow people to just buy into that. And so he was trying to negotiate some deal like that. Also, I just feel like both of these people do a lot of mushrooms. I have no evidence to back this up. But if you know Kyrie and you look at any of the way that like Spencer Dinwiddie markets, like these guys have opened their third eye.
Kyrie definitely did something. Read some books. He got the enlightenment somehow. But also, what are you gonna do with Karis LeVert though? Like, you got 4 dudes on the team who can run the offense. That's the thing that I feel like they might get into trouble. Cause like when Karis in there, you want him to do his thing. Like, cause he's gonna come off the bench. You want him to give a spark. But if you still got like Kyrie on the court, like then what do you do?
Yeah. Do you think? How do you think it's gonna be like to see Karis and KD play, or do you think K and Karis is gonna have to stagger their minutes?
I think Karis and KD works a lot better than Karis and Kyrie, but I mean, Kevin can play off the ball, on the ball. It don't matter for Kevin.
He's so good.
It's just when you have Kyrie, he's not really that much of an off the ball player. He will hit some knockdown threes, but he's still more. You get it to him, he gonna like drive before he just ready to shoot and stuff. Like he's the step back. He's shooting step backs and all that type of stuff. So it's just like you got so many offense starters. Like what if you had all 3 of them on this? Like what if you had Spencer, Karis, and Kyrie on the floor at the same time?
Yeah, can you even do that? Like how's that gonna work?
I haven't watched too much of Spencer Dinwiddie lately, but I did see that man play in college. He went to Colorado. I remember for some reason I caught a Pac-12 game one night and I saw that man play. I was like, wait, who is this dude? Because I never saw Pac-12. I was like, damn, he actually kind of a baller. And then it's kind of crazy to see him now. He's actually balling out with the Nets.
Right, he cold, bro. He plays a lot like Kyrie, but he moves the ball. Like the thing that I like about Spencer a lot, he is pass first, and he's pass first, and that fits so well with the system that they already have been playing with in the past 2 seasons. Like Spencer, in a lot of times, gets the offense flowing. Like even if he's working off the ball, even the ways he gets to his buckets, like he's really nice. If I had the balls to throw this out, I would be like, you know, only during like a playoff series or something, but like if you really had to win a series, I'd be like, bro, you know, let Kyrie start for the sake of starting for a little bit, but like get most of the minutes with the starters, have Spencer be the point guard, and then have Kyrie play most of the minutes with the bench and just let it be the Kyrie show every single time we need to rest, you know, KD, Karis, and definitely Spencer too. But I would let Spencer run most of the minutes at point with KD and Karis, and then just, you know, Karis is young, so just play in minutes at, you know, with the second unit and the first. And if you just need to rest him at all, I mean, we got Joe Harris, one of the coldest 3-point shooters out there. But after that, like, I'm really trying to let Kyrie rock out, like, and not, you know, just let Kyrie rock out with the second unit. Because it's going to be, Kyrie's still going to do his thing, but you don't want the other players that you need to be good to get cold. And that can happen so easily with Kyrie. And so, like, I think it's really important to stagger Kyrie off with the other people because you want Kyrie to be that absolute Mamba-like killer. Give me the ball, get the fuck out the way. Because when it comes to the playoffs, that's how you're going to win games, period. Is there any other teams in the Western Conference you think you want to talk about right now, Sterling, outside of the teams we just mentioned?
Not really. I mean, the Kings did give De'Aaron Fox the extension. Which, I mean, the man's been good. Like, if he takes that next step, they've definitely shown that they are behind him with that money, that signing that they, or the extension that they gave him. So, that shit, I'm interested to see what the Kings can do in the future because I think they also are similar to the Hawks, in which they have some nice young pieces. They didn't really get too many signings because not too many people want to go to Sacramento, unfortunately, as free agents. But I'm excited to see what they do. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs because it just seems like they can just never get it fully there. And other than that, I feel sorry for the Rockets. Not feel sorry. Actually, let me take that back. I really don't feel sorry for them. They kind of screwed themselves when they brought in Russell Westbrook last year. It was never the smartest decision in my opinion, having Russell and James Harden. Like, I think most just basketball people figured it was not going to work. I'm not going to say everybody just knew it wasn't going to work, because I mean they are both superstars in their own right, but it's just very hard when you have two very ball dominant people like that. So just to like really play together and be able to do that. So now James Harden, he's kind of on his little boycott. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Rockets. They did get John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. So I mean, it's an interesting team. Like, I hope James Harden does come back and like buy in or whatever. But if not, it just kind of sucks for the Houston franchise, because they were on the up and up. It was looking good. They got James Harden, the MVP. But I guess we'll have to see. He wants that trade to the Nets, but I don't think that's going to happen. Because if I'm Houston, I'm like, give me LeVert, give me Dinwiddie, give me Jared Allen, give me Joe Harris. Like, I'm trying to take everything. Like, if you trying to take James Harden, so I don't think it's going to happen. And then, like I said, the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, what he did in the bubble, in the playoffs, like, if he can keep taking steps forward, like, just him he's a box office. Like, he like brings people to the stand. Like, he was pretty slept on. Like, he didn't have like the greatest college career, but then as soon as he got to the NBA, man started balling out. And then they got Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year. Wasn't he?
Yeah. He was it some year.
No. It was Giannis. It was Giannis this year. Oh no, he got second. He was runner up. Like
some year he won Defensive Player of the Year.
But you got Gobert, and then I mean our man Joe Ingles.
Yes.
The silent assassin, bro. People just be slept on.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they always gonna have a solid team. They always just in the middle, but I don't think they ever really gonna get over the hump. They just like that Utah Jazz team. Like, they solid. Like, I mean, it's like back in the day when they had Karl Malone and John Stockton. I mean,
Yep.
They always they there. Like, Utah, you gonna have to deal with them, but they was never able to get over the hump. Like, and now it's like a little worse version of them, because the West got a lot better. But it's true. They always just a solid team. Yeah. I think this might be the first time where we see the Spurs really fall off. Like, last year they were still like competing for that last seed. This year, it might be a wrap. Even though I do like Devontae, I can't say his name. Javonte Murray. DeJounte Murray. DeJounte. Yeah, I also had him on the fantasy squad last year. That's another. But I do like what he brings to the table, but they just
he gotta bulk up,
pieces.
Bro. DeJounte Murray could be so much nicer if he just bulked up a little bit. He just gotta get some weight,
the pieces,
bro.
Like they used to.
Yeah.
Popovich was kind of blessed with the teams. Like, in any system, you still need stars. Like, it don't matter if you still a system run team. Like, you still need stars to run that system. Like, we saw it with the Spurs. I mean, they had Duncan, arguably the best power forward, in my opinion, the best power forward ever to play the game. Right. I think the only person you can put up there with him is Kevin Garnett. Yep. And then they had the Admiral at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
They had the Hall of Fame six-man, the man who basically started that thing, in
Manu Ginobili.
Yes, Manu, who had his great finals moments. Tony Parker. Yes. Which I think I might have to put him in the top 10 point guards ever.
Dude, he fucked Eva Longoria. He's put in the top 10 point guard conversation. I know that has nothing to do with basketball, but in my mind.
Then when they had the young Kawhi, like Danny Green when he was cold, like they had some squads up there.
And now he just like doesn't have those players anymore. So he doesn't have the stars really to run the system. So it kind of sucks because I think Pop is the GOAT coach as far as the NBA. I think he is. I personally think he's the greatest NBA coach ever to coach over Phil Jackson. Because I mean, Phil Jackson had he just got blessed. Like
facts.
As far as coach, to have Pippen, Michael,
Kobe,
and Rodman,
Shaq,
and then Kobe and Shaq, Kobe, Gasol, and
even Andrew Bynum was nice.
Bynum,
he was nice when he was healthy, bro. People forget about that. He had a little 4 or 5 year career when he was actually playing, but when he was playing, he was nice. Double, consistent.
Yeah, so I'm saying like Phil Jackson got blessed with great teams. But yeah, I don't know West.
Hey, to go back to the Rockets real quick, if you don't mind, to go back to the Rockets real quick, man. I think the culture though for the Rockets, they could bounce back really well if they nailed this James Harden trade. I think that you're replacing one strip club legend with another by bringing in John Wall. So you got the Houstonian aspect of that. You got them.
There's no women out there with James Harden and John Wall. You not be able to pull in Houston.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. You're not going to lose that. You're not going to lose the strip club presence that you already had in the locker room. So that's great. That checks a box off if you're ever a free agent. You know what I mean? Then you got the Kentucky Connect in John Wall, Boogie Cousins. We got a black head coach, rookie head coach. I feel like he's chill as shit whenever I've heard Steve Silas talk. He was the lead assistant coach for the Mavericks and really, really helped Luka's game, take off in the way that he did by putting Luka in the positions that he needed to be to really exceed expectations. I mean, he's been an amazing player, but to run the schemes and the plays that they did for Luka, to have Luka be on the ball as much as they did, that was a lot of Steve Silas's work. And he just seems like a really chill guy. He's been an assistant coach in the league for like 20 plus years. Young guy, son of a coach too. So he knows all of the in and outs. Like his dad was a coach when people were doing so much coke in the league. So like Steve Silas has eras of NBA partying in the back of his head. So he's going to be a chill coach. You got a Kentucky connection going on with John Wall and Boogie. I think there's some free agency clout. And if you just are able to land the right pieces back from this James Harden trade, you could keep this going in a very interesting way.
Why trade him though?
Oh, because he doesn't want to stay and he's not going to yield. It's just not worth it. I don't think it's worth holding a person against their free will, especially if they've done so much for your franchise. Like, let's be honest, like where would the Houston Rockets have been in the past 4 to 6 years if it wasn't for James Harden? Like, he's done a lot for the franchise, even though obviously he's gotten huge paychecks for that. But if the man wants to go to a different situation, and let's be honest, like James Harden's also at the age where this is probably the peak of his trade value too. So it's like, it is fucked up given the scenario, and obviously it'd be better to hold the asset. But
that's the thing. Do you think there's like when another team knows like the player wants to get traded?
Yeah.
They're not gonna offer what they would like if they were just trying to get him back.
And like, see, this is where James fucked up.
It's just like he's not gonna get what he's actually worth, because the people. If I'm a good like business person, it's like if I know you got like a good that doesn't want to be there, basically. Like you got an asset that is trying
distressed
asset. I know you trying to get rid of it, so it's like, oh, I'm trying to make a deal, like I know I'm trying to help you get this off your hands, but I can only give you so much. And what you gonna take her or leave it, like, because it's not helping you in the negative right now because he's not playing.
Exactly.
So
I think that's why James came back to playing though. He just played today, so he played against the Spurs for the preseason. And so he's playing now, and I think that's the reason why he did return and start playing now, because I think this really did hurt his trade stock, because he's now revealed himself to be a distressed asset. When you were like cream of the crop, former MVP, could probably go to a lot of teams. But yeah, that Harden trade is a sticky situation in that there's not a lot of teams that are contenders that have the assets needed to actually make the deal work for the Rockets. And James Harden is very, very picky about his list. But I think over time, James will probably become a lot more open. And you never know who could sneak up. Like, I could easily see the Clippers coming in with some deal maybe at the trade deadline as we head into All-Star break, or even the Heat, maybe even the Bucks.
The Clippers gave everything to get Paul George. They don't got anything left.
But that's the thing. Like, you could just trade.
They don't got no first round picks.
Yeah.
Like,
let's get into the Clippers. Fuck, we didn't even talk about them, because here's why I think we have a core difference about this. Even though they signed Paul George to that long-term contract, if Kawhi either re-signs or is intended in staying with the Clippers, I still see Paul George as a trade asset. Like, I could easily see a James Harden for Paul George trade happen, like, at the end of this year, even by the trade deadline. If the Clippers situation goes south, even at the slightest, with all of the bitching and moaning that Paul George has done over the offseason, I could easily, and he has a 4-year or a 5-year contract with the Clippers? Something like that. He has at least 4 years on the deal.
It was an extension to make it 5, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. And so if you're the Houston Rockets, you have Paul George for 5 years. You have a guaranteed all-star perennially showing up on your team, and will probably be the guy along with John Wall and Boogie. That can keep people seats in the stadium.
They're not going to do a 1-for-1 trade, though.
Would the money even work out for the 1-1? No. The Clippers would probably have to throw something else, but it wouldn't be that much because they don't have any draft picks, because they literally threw all of them to get Paul George.
But still, Paul George, to compare it to James Harden, you're going to have to throw a good one like this.
Right. You would have to throw something in, but it wouldn't be a 1-for-1, but it would be less.
We're talking about an MVP of the league.
Yeah. But it would be less than what you would have to give for any other trade, because they don't have assets. So the only thing they can offer is like young players. But I think there's a combination of the young players that they have and Paul George and maybe some second-round draft capital that would probably be better than any other offers that are out there right now. Because the only one that's going to actually be better than that, obviously, is the Sixers one. That's the one that's being kicked around the most right now. That isn't, a trade for the Nets. A lot of people think that the Sixers have the assets to get it done. But the thing is, Daryl Morey, the former GM of the Houston Rockets, is the current GM of the Philadelphia 76ers, and I just feel like there still is bad blood between that relationship and why Daryl Morey left, because he had the same exact job a year ago and chose to quit his current job to get the same job someplace else. So I would assume that must have happened off of some bad pretenses, and so I can't see there being an amicable trade situation happening there. So let's take the Sixers situation aside. Who else has a better trade package that would be considered a contender?
I don't think. Well, I said I don't think it was bad blood. He talked with the owner. They came to the decision that it was just best for him to resign. But just as a person, like, I personally would be like, yeah, my performance wasn't good enough. Like,
right.
He wasn't performing. Like, he kept trying to have these revolutionary lineups, taking away the center, trading Kid Capella, and it just didn't work out. Like, it was kind of time for him to leave.
Very true.
Like, the man, like, as far as a person, he's a very, cool person, just to, hear about the stuff he does and all that type of stuff, but he wasn't getting the job done. So I see why he low-key did, mess up that roster. So for his point of view, it's like, hey, I don't gotta fix this, just leave this or somebody else. 'Cause, Russell and James Harden, James Harden's game is made to be played around. Let's just be he doesn't fit into a system. You build a system around him just because his one-on-one skills. He's basically, you can't really guard him. And then the way he plays basketball, he just knows how to draw fouls. That is a skill that people don't actually, even just being a basketball, I personally am not the biggest fan of the way he plays the game, but I understand it. You just taking advantage of the rules of the game. I can't, as a competitor, I can't fault you for doing whatever you can to try to win the game. It's just because like if I drive into this man this way, it's a foul every time. Get to the free throw line, get points, easy points. Like I understand, like, but the thing is that only works one way, and that's why I don't think I just don't think it'll really work. I don't think James Harden can ever really be a champion. I think he'd have to change his game because it just I just don't like. And then I think we saw in the Lakers series, he was so dependent. The offense was so dependent around him, like being in the game. Like if he wasn't doing everything, then it kind of just went flat. Because especially Russ was not hitting his shots.
Oh yeah, really badly.
He just didn't have like that same bounce. Like he kind of got worn down. Like they had just went to a 7-game series. They just went through the 7-game series with OKC. So like, unless he changes his game up somewhat, I just never really see it like him reaching the pinnacle.
Yeah, if it's not on the Nets, I don't really see it happening, and I think he kind of thinks that too. That's why he's probably been so hell-bent on getting to the Nets. But even that aside, I don't think the Rockets have to care about James Harden's trade ambitions to make a good trade for them to bounce back, and I think that they have
I just don't think I don't think he's gonna get traded. Like they don't have to trade him. That's the thing.
Definitely not. But yeah, I think that it'll probably get worse over time because the asset will become more distressed. So it's pretty difficult. Like James Harden has kind of made this situation what it is at this point. But I do think a trade will happen at some point within this season to the next season, maybe at the trade deadline. And I think that's the right thing to do. This just played out, show that James Harden is still capable of doing the things that they do. And then, the Rockets can sit back and field the best offer. And you never know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. Or even as we head into the summer of 2021, even though Giannis is off the table, there's still going to be a lot of people who are free agents heading into next season. And so having James Harden kind of be one of those bigger pieces at that time could give Rockets leverage to build something special as they try to revamp their culture here with John Wall and Boogie.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any other West teams you can think about?
The Clippers, I know we talked about them earlier. I mentioned from before, I know Paul George just signed a long-term contract with them, but he talked a lot of dumb shit over the offseason. Like, let's just be very honest about that. And he's kind of dug himself into a hole that he's very capable of getting out of because he's that talented. But
Paul George, Kyrie, they better perform.
Yes,
there's no excuses. And Giannis now that he's
with
signed
that money,
I need to see something from all three of these people that like they kind of been shown to be frauds. Maybe it just speaks to LeBron's greatness. I can see that, but there's a lot of frauds that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I need people to show up and do what you like, just like the purpose, like especially to the fact that like Kyrie and Paul George, like they kind of like they wanted to take on.
Yeah, and failed. We've already seen them fail.
Yeah, and they've been failing. Like, so y'all ask.
And the thing about Kyrie and Paul George's situation, not to add on this, because I think both of them individually are great players. I love watching their games, and I think given the right situation, they could potentially be championship winners yet again. But both of them got Nike contracts super early, and I think this is one of those situations where we gave these really uber talented players their roses a little too early. Like if you look at the contracts that Kyrie got and PG got out the gate from not only from the NBA but even off the court, that's like these guys had already won multiple championships. Like they're heading.
We are talking about the best ball handler and finisher at the rim.
Yeah, in Kyrie's case, it's a little bit more
justified. In my opinion,
but
Kyrie,
look at Paul George, for example. Like, what?
He was going toe to toe with the Heat. Like you can't.
Yeah, but that was in 2012.
It was mostly him. He did have Hibbert. Hibbert was actually trying to play.
But this is 7 years ago.
then.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long time since then. That was the trajectory that he was going on. These contracts are not, multi-decade. These contracts are multi-year. And
I mean, even with the OKC, he was MVP caliber. Paul George, he was balling out before he got hurt. So I mean, it's just when it comes to the playoffs, you always know what's going to happen.
And like I've mentioned from before,
and that's the same thing with Giannis.
That talent is so there for Paul George and Kyrie's case, though. Like I've mentioned from before, these guys could easily be championship winners again. Like, they're that talented. They're uber talented at what they do. But like, for both of them, I feel like it's just mentally how far they want to take things. Like, if they tend to get obsessive about something that's very minute and insignificant such that it impacts their performance, then they end up just like tail diving whole organizations. But when they buy in, you have the potential of winning championships with these types of players. And I just feel like that's very similar with Kyrie, and it's very similar with Paul George. Giannis, on the other hand, is a bit different in that he's the hardest worker in the fucking world, but he's not really thinking about the game of basketball and playing it in a more guard-like fashion that he needs to expand his game. Like, he's at the point now where he's so dominant given his physical abilities and the things that he already does that his only weaknesses are just all the guard position skills. Really dribbling, being able to actually create a shot without having to just like dive headfirst into the rim. And also just being able to extend your range and play make for others. I think all of the weaknesses that Giannis have are just fundamental guard skills, and if he can just get better at that and understand a lot more of the game and how defenses are trying to key in on him during playoff runs, like specifically in playoff stretches. We know Giannis is like the king of the regular season, but during a 7-game series, are you going to be able to create your own shot, play make for others when people are trying to double team you? Do you have more to your offensive repertoire than just trying to Euro step to the rim? I think this is going to be really important. I think this is going to be the season where we find out, is Giannis smart enough and capable enough to expand his game the right way? Because Giannis could go and work his ass off in the offseason right now and put on another 10 pounds and dunks the ball even a little bit better and rebounds the ball even a little bit better. But what the fuck is going to happen in the playoffs? It's going to be the same result. If he can improve on being a better guard, dribbling the ball, playmaking, like being able to extend his range, actually shoot the ball a little bit better, and get his teammates just more involved outside of the stereotypical things he does as a big, that's going to be how they get to a championship, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he's also going to need some pieces around him. I mean, they got Drew Holiday.
Super nice.
And Middleton, which
is Drew Holiday, I love Drew Holiday. But I don't really see a clear second option like that. Like, I think Drew Holiday is probably going to end up being that guy, and I could see Chris Middleton kind of having these games. But if I'm thinking, like, okay, there's at least 2 star players on every team that you're probably going to see coming out of the Western Conference, and now even in the Eastern Conference, if you think about it, outside of the Heat, I mean, KD and Kyrie, you got...
You still got to think about this, though. They got 2 of the top 5 defenders on the same team.
That's true.
That's like defensively, they're gonna be kind of crazy. Because Middleton is no slouch either.
None. He's not even decent. He's above average. So the whole team defensively is above average. I think their starting lineup is.
Exactly. So they're gonna be. So you won't have to score on them.
But they gotta score too.
Them on offense is gonna be interesting. That's what I want. But I mean, Drew Holiday, he can knock down the 3, and then Giannis is Giannis. Middleton can knock down the 3. So I mean,
I think this whole season is going to be a pretty mixed bag. But I think what we come to conclusion is that if we had to put bets on anybody winning the whole thing, it's going to be the Lakers. It's going to be the Lakers. Let's just be honest. We're probably looking at a back-to-back, but let's see. I'm very interested in the story and the journey, and hopefully maybe even an upset or a challenge. I really think this is the time to see the Lakers go on a dynastic run, and I want to see AD get his first MVP, man. I think that Rob Pelinka has done a phenomenal job just being kind of GM really of the year, making the offseason moves that he did, getting Montrez, getting Marc Gasol. I think the Nuggets matchup now is going to be way less of a problem just because they got Marc Gasol. Like, if you think about the playoff run that they went through last year, all the offseason signings that they had filled all of the weaknesses that they got exposed for during the playoff run in the bubble. Like, they have Marc Gasol that fills in any of the problems that they were having against the Nuggets. If you look at these like running gun teams, they have like Wes Matthews that's going to try to like defend that shit. And then they also have somebody who can also keep up and score with them and is not going to slow stuff down with Montrez. And then most importantly, like they have a phenomenal sixth man now with Dennis Schroeder. But I've heard that they're going to try to have him start in some instances, which will be very interesting. But I think that their offseason moves filled all of the weaknesses from last season, like especially Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is so underrated as a pickup for that team.
They also, THT is
the notorious THT.
This man, Taylor Horton Tucker, this man dropped 33 in that preseason game. He's looking like he could be something.
Oh yeah, big time.
And then if Kuzma finally takes that step, this is supposed to be the year.
It better be, man. I'm still on the Kuz bandwagon, but I'm about to fall off, man. This year has to be the year, man.
He just gotta learn how to keep playing off the ball. Like, you saw it in some of the playoff games when he started cutting and stuff. It's like, finally, this man's kind of learning, like, when you don't got the ball in your hands, like, this is what you can do, like, to really affect the game. And then if he just starts knocking down that three, like, more consistently, like, he be streaky.
Yes.
I feel like
that's his biggest problem.
Like,
and when he's off, though, he still puts a lot of attempts up. That's his only weakness, in my opinion. Otherwise, he does everything else at least a little bit better. He's improved defensively.
He still needs to improve on the defensive end.
He's gotten better than last season.
He's gotten better.
He has gotten better. I have to give him credit to that. And he's gotten better as a cutter, too, like you mentioned. So
the fact that if he like really takes this step, and then Taylor Horton Tucker takes this step too.
Yeah. The Caruso.
Like, they just got so many. They got Caruso. Like they got so many players. Like, it's just like they are deep. Like, they got deeper than they were last year. And at first, everybody thought they weren't deep.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun season, man. I can't wait to get to it, bro. I'm so excited for these games to start, man. I'm excited for everything that comes this way. And man, let's just get to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. First game is a week from today, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, man. Hey, and with that being said, we're probably gonna wrap it up here. I'll make sure we get Sterlz back in the studio for some non-NBA stuff, I swear.
We gotta have the shits. We gotta just have, like, kick it.
Oh yeah. We'll get that in. That's definitely coming in soon here for the holidays. But for now, that's all this is. We out. Peace.